As he looked intently outside his window at night, up into the sky right above his house was a ring of white lights hovering right there in place. He wondered to himself, could this be an airplane, military aircraft, helicopter, or perhaps even extraterrestrial life? This all boils down to one thing. It's the mysteries of the sky, or more commonly known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. I sort of grew up a little bit hearing stories from family and friends of UFOs that I thought were crazy at the time, or different TV shows and movies, books, things on the internet that just kind of struck an interest in me about what UFOs were. So I decided to dig a little deeper and find out for myself what they were all about. Perhaps you have family or friends that have shared a couple stories with you about UFOs and you thought were crazy, or you yourself have seen something and that you would deem as UFO, and thus it sparked an interest in you. Well, whether you like it or not, UFOs are real. Please don't get it wrong that they are right away alien related. UFOs are simply unidentified objects. Any account or experience someone had seen an object in the sky that is unexplained to this day, a phenomenon of sorts. Nonetheless, what it comes down to is UFOs can be concluded to two things. Either they are something we're familiar with, be it military aircraft, or second, something we're unfamiliar with, be it, let's hope not, extraterrestrial life. Of course, that idea is still up in the air, if you get my drift. So I'd like to share with you a few stories that I know from credible sources, and it involves CIA, military organizations, and non-crazy credible sources, of course, that explain these accounts. So nonetheless, you're in for a factual surprise. Take, for example, author Philip Plait in his article, The Science Behind UFOs, he shared a story of Phoenix where there were thousands of reports in one day of people seeing these flares flying across, these what appeared to be flares to most people flying across the sky, and they were white and red and white colors, and they would disappear suddenly, and people were thinking, oh, this is some sort of UFO with these things flying across the sky, and then they would take off in lightning speed. Well, the government eventually dug a little deeper into it and thought, well, it turned out to be the National Guard. They were actually doing a routine test of shooting flares across the sky, and they would disappear, of course, as flares do. So, one UFO case debunked, and just like that. There was another one Philip Plait had explained in Norway of 2009, where the entire city woke up to this white spiral in the sky, and it was shining, and they all thought, oh, what could this be? Some sort of alien form or whatever, spacecraft. And, well, military became involved eventually, and then the Russians had admitted to doing a submarine test that day, and there was a third phase for the missile that they were shooting, a Bulea missile, and it had failed on that third phase. Well, they had done an experiment and found out that, in fact, when that Bulea missile fails on that third phase, it gives out this white spiral, as it did in Norway at that time. And so, again, another UFO case debunked. So, you're given all these different cases, but what about all the ones that are still unexplained to this day? And remember, a lot of people think that UFOs are something of the 1900s. Well, this dates all the way back to 1639, in fact, from a credible source as well. Since 1939, the colony governor of Massachusetts, John Winthrop, had noted in his journal that a friend of his, a discreet and sober man, as he explained him, and a couple of his friends had witnessed these severe lights going across the Muddy River at, what they thought were lightning speeds at the time, really, really fast. Mind you, we don't have aircraft at this time, and it would go back and forth in the Muddy River and then disappear. So, as you can see, it goes all the way back to 1639. Well, the most highly claimed and most known case for UFOs is the Roswell case in 1947, where UFO experts had claimed that the military had seized an alien aircraft, and this had been blown out by the public and the media, and of course the military finally came forward, and they didn't say and they didn't deny that they had seized anything or seized an alien aircraft. They simply said that what the UFO experts were referring to and what they had gained evidence on was something of a surveillance machine that they were testing out, something new. Well, matter of fact, you look at things now, we recently just had, what are they called? Those things were flying up in the air, and the drones. We recently just had drones come out. It's the new thing nowadays. Everyone's buying them. Well, back in 1947, that wasn't something at the time, and that I'm pretty sure we didn't start developing drones back in 1947. But nonetheless, that was the claim that was made by the military. But still, to this day, most UFO experts and people likewise still believe that it is unexplained, and it is cited as unexplained. Or another case, for example, in Washington, D.C. in 1952, 3 airport radars had picked up a similar sighting on their radar data there of these objects that were flying above the Capitol and had disappeared out of nowhere. Well, people had also made reports of the same things above the Capitol during that same time. So obviously there was something there, and it was gone, and to this day is still unexplained. One more case of an unexplained event from a highly acclaimed man is from the Clyde Tombaugh case in 1949. This is a respected American astronomer. He too had made reports of seeing things up in the sky, and similar to all these different cases of Washington, D.C. or Roswell for that case, and to this day is still unexplained. Well, in Patrick Keeger's article, 5 Good Reasons to Believe in UFOs, this is a National Geographic author, he had said that there are consistent characteristics UFOs carry on. And all these different reports, all these different cases going on of UFOs, there are consistent characteristics that most people report of seeing. One, for example, is the severe shape they take on, or the white light, or the lightning speed that they make. There are 2 cases in particular I'd like to mention in regards to these characteristics. One of them is the Lubbock lights in 1951. This is about the Texas Tech College, and 3 professors had all reported seeing these white lights, severe white lights above the college in a V shape, just hovering above the college, and then they would take off eventually. Another similar case was the Belgium wave. Excuse me. This was in the year 1989 to 1990. So within that year, there was 13,500 reports of the same exact case that people were seeing throughout this area. And this is miles and miles of an area. And it was the same one, similar to Texas Tech College. It was a V formation of these lights, severe shape, that would hover in certain areas and take off. And to this day, it is still unexplained. So as you can see, there are all these different cases of UFOs that have been debunked, and there are also the ones to this day that are unexplained. And in the end, it's left up to you, to what you would like to conclude of it. But nonetheless, you are well to know and good to know that UFOs are in fact real, and something to be aware of. And it does cost some interest for somebody. But you wouldn't look back and you think about the boy that was looking out the window, staring up at the sky at the ring of lights. Well, if you ask my dad today about it, he'll tell you the same thing he tells everybody else. Beats me.